Welcome to Ageless Blissings Radio with host Brenda Pearce. Stay tuned for great conversations with authors, healers, and leaders in the personal transformation realm. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. Remember that the comments and commentary are that of the participants and not reflective of the Sacred Embers Network, and are not meant to diagnose or treat any medical issues. Now let's get on with the show.
Hi, and welcome to Ageless Blissings Live. This is Brenda Pearce, the host, and I am happy that you were able to make some time today to be with us tonight. I am thrilled that you are taking such an interest in how to create miracles in your life. Uncovering and discovering the divine within is really important for each and every one of us to know that there is a better way and a better day. So my special guest tonight is Kerri Kannan, and we'll bring her right on and welcome her to the show.
Hi, Brenda.
Hey, Kerri. Hi.
Hi,
I'm
thank you
so
so
happy. Oh, it is great to have you here today, and we are going to be doing some amazing work today on this episode of Ageless Blissings Live, and I am, just so excited because Kerri is actually one of the premier healers of our day and age. She has evolved through her own processes to uncover and discover her hidden gifts and talents and how to bring it forth to help humanity. Because humanity is needing help. And Kerri is all about helping people to feel better and uncover the divine within. So welcome to the show, Kerri. We're glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I'm really happy to be on here. It's very exciting. Thank you.
This is great. So, Kerri, you and I go back several years. We knew each other when.
Yes.
And we were lucky to be together in a book called Embraced by the Divine, which was compiled by Michelle Meyer. And we were part of this amazing book launch. And it went international #1 bestseller in 4 countries, like overnight. And 5 countries. Oh, okay. 5. I can't count tonight. But it doesn't matter. It's touched a lot of lives, and I just loved your story, and I wonder if you could share with the audience a little bit of your story.
The story as it relates to the book, you'd like to?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I started learning how to this gift that I'm going to share tonight, I was asking for guinea pigs, and I can go into it like further back, but just the story that relates to the book. I was asking for guinea pigs to practice with this gift because it was something that I had actually discovered back in 2004 with the instantaneous healing of somebody's hand, and then I found it again through somebody else who was really kind of holding on to it really tightly and didn't want to really share how to do this. And I knew that I could do this because I had done it 10 years prior, and I decided to claim the gift for myself. And while I was developing the gift, I asked for guinea pigs, and Michelle Mayor was one of them. And she said she had a couple things that she would love to work with. And one was healing her relationship with her daughter, and the other was for our book to be a bestseller. And I said to her, the audience is going to know exactly what this gift is later because you're going to feel it and we're going to experience it. But she said she wanted those 2 things, and I was like, okay. So she told me the story about her daughter, which was at the time she had graduated from high school. She was 18 years old, and she loved to shop. She had a shopping habit, and Michelle said, listen, I can't support your lifestyle, so you either need to get a job or you need to go on welfare. And so her daughter, being an 18-year-old who didn't want to work, decided to go on welfare. And so now she could afford the beautiful clothes that she wanted to buy, but she was not contributing to the household in any way, and she was driving her mother nuts. So I said, well, and knowing Michelle, I had known Michelle actually longer than I've known Brenda. And so knowing Michelle and knowing that she had a good relationship with her daughter, I was like, listen, it sounds to me like you already have a good relationship with her. And what really needs to happen is the kid needs to get a job. She needs to find some meaning in her life, something to do with her time, something that makes her feel good about herself and, like she's contributing in some way. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a consciousness alignment, which is the work that I do, for her to find her dream job. And it's not going to take any particular effort on her part. She's just going to do her thing. It's going to happen naturally. She's going to land this job, and then she's going to feel so good about herself that that's going to spill over into her relationship with you, and everything's going to be great. How does that sound? Michelle was like, that sounds great to me. So I did that. And then the next part was that I did a consciousness alignment for our book. And I was like, well, being a bestseller is fine, but why don't we make it a #1 international bestseller? And she was like, can we do that? And I was like, we can ask. So that's what I did. I asked for our book to be a #1 international bestseller. So a couple of weeks later, I was talking to her about the book and editing or whatever, and she said, oh, I have to tell you what happened with my daughter. So she was in her favorite boutique, spending her check, and the shop owner approached her and asked if she would be interested in modeling for their internet and print presence. She would be paid, she would get a discount on clothes, and if she wanted to start a modeling portfolio, she could do that as well. So it was like, check, dream job, 18-year-old, boom, no particular effort on her part. And then with the book, it took us longer because we had edits, and there's just a longer incubation period. And on American Thanksgiving, 2015 it was, right? I tell everybody it was 2015. 2015, it went to #1 in the United States, Canada, Australia, the UK, and the Netherlands. So that's, that showed, I love that story because it's a twofer, and they're both really big, things that you wouldn't expect. So, yeah. I love that.
I know. And the thing is, though, it can happen. It's a law of attraction on steroids.
Yeah.
But it actually is using the process of prayer. And which is really great because so many people who have a religious rejection to the law of attraction can participate in making their dreams come true because they're using the prayer model.
Right.
And, which proves that the law of attraction transcends religious dogma and mental limitations. And Kerri, you're going to get to experience tonight some of Kerri's work. So any of you who are joining us who really want to learn more about this, you can. You're going to hear all about it, and you're going to experience it. And the beautiful thing is the energy is embedded into this video and the audio that will subsequently come from all this. And you can play it over and over and over again. And just, if you have any blocks, once is plenty, but if you have any limitations or blocks, you will be able to do that and break through, bust through limitations. And, it's really interesting, Kerri, because you and I are both energy practitioners. And I was doing my job the other night at hospice with an end-of-life person who was Christian. And I said, and they were struggling, and I said, I can do a little hands-on energy Reiki and help to break through any pain, fear, anxiety. And right away, their remark was, no, I'm Christian. I don't want any of that. Mm-hmm. And yet, there's nothing more Christian than the energy work. Right. And so, this is the thing, is, being a part of that story and learning about how Michelle's daughter was able to bust through her blocks and get her dream job and actually vicariously taking the ride with the #1 status with this book. And, which is still a beautiful, timeless book. And anybody who wants to get Embraced by the Divine, go to embracedbythedivine.com and you can purchase and you can find out more about the book. But it stands the test of time. And that's what's so beautiful about that and about your work. And, so Kerri, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about how this work has actually impacted you personally, just so people have an idea.
So, obviously the book was, what it has shown me is that, and
Hi, baby.
what it's shown me is that it doesn't matter what it is, any idea in consciousness is a possibility. And actually, it has really helped me to expand my definition of self. Like the foundation of my work is all about self-love. And when I started, when I wrote Uncovering the Divine Within, and I wrote the Uncovering the Divine Within workbook, it was all about body and personality. And what I've realized is that every aspect of my life, every nuance, every potentiality, every thought that I have is also me. And all I need to do is call it in. So I'm just going to talk about my publicist, my marketing manager for a moment. So I had been struggling with, I seem to have this theme in my life where I think I want some man to help me with my work. And that always sort of backfires on me. And then once I recontextualize what I really want and take the man out of it, then, things seem to line up. And I got really clear that I didn't want a man to help me. I wanted somebody, a non-sexual relationship, and a woman to help me. And somebody who was as passionate about my work as I was, but who was actually like a partner, like a business partner, and, would work in a certain way with me, like results-based, and who really could understand my work and help me understand it and help me grow it and things like that. And once I got really clear about that, I think it maybe took, I don't know, less than 2 weeks. So I called it in. So when I do this work, and if you're listening to me, you don't want to be in the car listening to me because it's like totally like, whoa, what just happened? But when I'm doing it myself, I don't feel anything as I'm speaking and as I'm doing it. I just do it and I sort of invoke, and I can do it while I'm driving because, it's just prayer. Like from my perspective, it's prayer, but from other people's perspective, it's like high level stuff. And, so I, on one of my morning drives, I got really clear about what I wanted, and I just invoked it, and I called it in. And like 2 weeks later, she got in touch with me exactly the way that I wanted her to get in touch with me, and she wanted to work with me exactly the way that I, wanted to be worked with, and she wanted to be paid exactly the way that I wanted, to this person to be paid, and she pushed me, which is what I wanted also, to increase my expectations. And so that is truly powerful and amazing in itself. But also, like along the way, as I've developed this, because from the time, so when I first discovered that this was even a possibility, I instantaneously healed somebody's hand at like a Christian, education week at Unity Village. And it was 8 hours a day of classes. So I took 4 classes, 2 hours per class, 5 days, and it was really intense. And we were going through Jesus's miracles, and I realized after miracle after miracle after miracle that we could do the same thing that he could do, because he told us that we could. And the energy in that room was so high that I knew we could. And my instructor had her hand in a splint, and after the first hour of this Jesus's teachings class, I found a quiet place, and I asked if there was anything I could do to heal this instructor's hand, and I got a yes. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And I got just no. And I was like, just no? And I got just no. I was like, okay. So I walked into the room, I held her hand, I looked her in the eye, and I said, Eliza, I don't know how, I just know that your hand is healed. And the next day she came in, and she wasn't wearing her splint. And she said that her hand felt better that morning than it had in 10 years since before her accident.
Wow.
And then a year later, she was sending out emails, and I was like, hey, do you remember when, I healed your hand, and you said that your hand felt better the next day? So how is that? How's that going for you? And she said, fine, my hand is fine. I forgot that I even injured my hand. It's perfectly fine. So that was my touchstone to let me know that we had the power within us. And it's not just me. I mean, like biblical teachings will tell you like the same thing, or it tells the same story to everybody. It's written down. And but we seem to allow other people to disempower us through a lot of these, through a lot of our religions. And we listen to the guy who's up at the pulpit, and the guy up at the pulpit might not have the level of awareness that like Jesus had, or that you even have. And, to study those things on your own and really get into that. And part of the work that I do is I really, 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 when I focus on the core of this work, I really focus on the unity consciousness. So the consciousness that I am every thought, I am everything in my experience, I am the consciousness that creates worlds. And Jesus came from that perspective as well. The Father and I are one. And because he came from that perspective of knowing that he was all of everything, and all of everything was him, and the Father was also him, he could then manifest miracles for other people because he was also them.
Yeah.
So that's where I come from in this work, that I am you, and as long as you're listening to my words and you're agreeing with yourself, with the greater part of yourself, your higher self, the God aspect of yourself, because God lives in me and in you, and God like is the energy, or I like to say consciousness, not God, because a lot of people have stuff around that word. It is the consciousness that creates worlds, and from that consciousness that creates worlds, being you, it can create whatever you want, your financial prosperity, your soulmate, your health and healing, whatever that is, because that is also you. So that's how this work has impacted me. To answer your question.
It's beautiful. And the thing is, though, you came from the Unity Church perspective and that, but healthcare too. We are what we think. We have 70 trillion cells in our body, and give or take a billion or so. But but the thing is, though, you can think yourself into illness. You can think yourself out of illness. And as a health professional, I just want to collaborate with you on that. That some people think that we are all separate pieces, like body, mind, and spirit, but we are not. We are this trinity,
right?
And and we are these electric batteries. We have electric charge in us, and we can deplete our energy or we can raise it up. And the thing is, though, most times people look to addictions or other things, or pills or potions or whatever, or give their power away to a medical professional, when really we have this within. And so you are really teaching people to empower themselves,
right?
And using these gifts that we really do have, that are underutilized or underappreciated sometimes in our modern world, because it actually takes some effort to put this together. But once you put the effort together and you do the manifesting, life changes. It just does.
And it becomes easy. Yeah, it becomes so simple. It becomes like your nature, like you realize your true nature. So once you recognize your true nature, that you are all of everything, and you can live from that perspective, then it's so easy for things to fall into place. And you let go of the attachment to how things show up, because it creates sort of an ease and a relaxation that allows the greater part of you, which is universal consciousness, to act on your behalf. And you're a perspective of universal consciousness, and everything is a perspective of universal consciousness. So by just even calling it forth from that perspective, you can chill out and relax, because the universe has got your back. The universe totally has got your back. So,
and that's a beautiful thing. So for anybody who's watching or listening, if you have any questions, you can write it into the chat box, and we'll know you're there. Say hi, let us know that you're there. And definitely, if you have any questions, this is a perfect opportunity to learn more about this consciousness and how to work with it. And it's a beautiful thing. So look forward to reading your comments and questions. And Kerri, I just want to thank you for making the effort to put this together and to explain it in such a way that makes sense.
Thank you.
You know,
Yeah.
people really are asking for questions, asking for clarity, but they don't know how.
Right.
You know, sometimes, like meditation and prayer can be two different things. Meditation is listening to God and prayer is talking to God. But, you know, when you can do both at the same time with this gift that you have, you know, it simplifies things a lot and brings peace. Yeah. And that's what humanity is really looking for at this time.
Yeah. You know, something else that I've noticed is that a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on, the enlightened guru, or, like we think that like enlightenment is this unattainable thing. But really, that's what I'm teaching. That's perspective that's being lived from. And, you know, when you realize that your nature, that is enlightenment. And even the Dalai Lama or anybody else will tell you they're not 100% enlightened 100% of the time. You know, it's a perspective and a mindset of knowing that you are one with all. And it doesn't have to be some big like thing that you need to, slog away at in meditation and, hide away in a cave for 20 years, because it's a slight shift in perspective. It's just a tiny shift in perspective to experience yourself as your life, to allow yourself to experience yourself really as life living you instead of you living a life. Because if it's you living a life, then that's separation. That's you saying, okay, here's me, and then here's my life. But if you can experience yourself as the eyes and ears and voice of consciousness itself, that's totally different. But it's just a tiny shift in perspective that is all that it requires.
Isn't that amazing, right? Like, well, and this is the whole thing. So many people live in the past and let their past dictate their future, when really it's, I like to say, his story, really. Right. It's somebody else's story.
Right.
And we have only this moment of now.
Right.
And we have infinite possibilities. It's
Absolutely.
like birthdays and Christmases and Hanukkah and everything else all rolled into one. And we get to choose. And this is so exciting.
Yeah.
So, so this is where we get to actually help people to make a new choice in their life tonight. And it just bubbles up inside and gives me great joy to know that, we are that close to our dreams come true.
Right, absolutely. Would you like me to do like a little consciousness alignment to get people started? Because I think a lot of people don't even know what it is. So they wouldn't even know what necessarily to ask. Are there any questions in the chat box that anything that anybody wants?
Nothing right now, but that doesn't mean that, once people start to understand and experience, things will start to change. So I'm going to put you full, and I'm going to disappear for a minute or two, and you do your thing, Kerri.
Right. So is there anything that you would like for me to call forth for people?
Okay, so let's create a baseline of, let's say, peace, like just a new level of peace in people's lives.
Okay. All right. New level of peace. And how about self-acceptance as well? Okay.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Because most of the time, a lack of peace comes along with a lack of self-acceptance. And especially people who are spiritually oriented and things don't seem to be going the right way. And just to sort of preface this consciousness alignment, with peace comes your ability to surrender the outcome. And what I found is that when I can surrender the outcome and be at ease with the moment in a place of serenity, that's when the universe can really work its magic, because I'm not getting in the way. I'm not in the way of trying to make things happen. And there's another story that I love to tell, but I'll tell it when we're done, about when I first experienced this, and I was sitting on my couch meditating for 2.5 weeks. But so let's do that. Oh, and when you're listening to a consciousness alignment, just for those who are listening, again, hopefully nobody's watching a video while driving a car, but if that happens to be you, just please watch this later, because a lot of people experience massive shifts in their energy body as I'm speaking. and it happens immediately. So I want everybody to be safe. So don't be driving. And also, you want to pay attention to my words. So don't do the dishes or take care of your toddler, or, don't have the TV on in the background. Just really be mindful and pay attention to what I'm saying, and say yes to yourself. So when you say yes to yourself as I'm speaking, that's you opening up so that you can receive the gift that I'm giving. Because if you're distracted or whatever, you're not in a place of receiving. So here we go. And I close my eyes and I get a little bit loud sometimes, but that's just the nature of Kerri. It's really not the nature of the work. So here we go. And don't forget to say yes to yourself. Thank you, divine consciousness that lives in, through, and as me, and is both the speaker and the person who is listening, is this very present moment of now. Thank you for releasing from this person any stress, any anxiety, any worries, any concerns, any panic that they have in their lives now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for releasing them from their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family, going back 10,000 generations, of any stress, anxiety that they have, that they are disconnected, any feelings that they are disconnected from all that is. So thank you for releasing that from them now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality, going down their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family. And thank you for creating a new sense of peace and awareness within this person, a knowing that they are the universe, that the universe is clamoring to bring them gifts that they have so long been desiring. So thank you for releasing this person from any concern, any worry, any doubt, any insecurity now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for imprinting them with a new consciousness that allows them to be at ease and relaxed with themselves, with their circumstances, with their lives, and be at peace in knowing that they are one with all. They are one with everything. They can trust, because they are the reason that they have these desires, and the reason that they want these things, is because these desires are knocking. They're banging on the doors and windows of their consciousness to be let in. So let them in now. Let them in now. Let them in now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for releasing anything in the way of that, across all time, space, dimension, and reality, and closing the doors of panic, and closing the doors of concern, and closing the doors of anything in the way of this person experiencing peace and tranquility and serenity in their lives now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for imprinting this person now 1,000 times, and 1,000 times every day, until it is complete, where they feel at ease and at peace, and they trust themselves, they trust their lives, they trust their dreams, they trust their desires now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality, in every vibrating molecule, every spinning atom, every strand of DNA. Thank you for rewiring their neural pathways and neuroreceptors so that they anchor this feeling of peace and serenity into their bodies now. And thank you for them passing this on to future generations, to their future generations, now and forevermore, for them and the rest of their families, now here on planet Earth, and for the rest of their lives. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. And so it is. Okay, take a deep breath. And let it all out. And take another deep breath. And push it all out.
That's amazing, Kerri. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I feel clean and sparkly inside.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, my goodness, and it's just like pressing the reset button.
Right.
This is so good,
Yeah.
because when we were little kids, born into this world, we had no self-destructive thoughts at birth. It gives you like a chance to reclaim your life, and and really, it doesn't matter if you're 95, 75, 55, 25. There's a chance here to really reclaim and really break through the bondage. And thank you.
You're very welcome.
Amazing.
You're very welcome.
So Kerri, you had a story you were going to share with us.
Okay. So when I rediscovered this work, so after that 10 years went by, when I healed the hand, and I was like working 10 years to try and figure out how do I get back to that consciousness that allowed me to heal that hand, because I'm a triple Capricorn. I just have started adding this to my story because I'm a triple Capricorn. So what that means is I start at the bottom of the ocean and I just keep slogging away with a singular focus, towards the top of the mountain or beyond. And I, I think perhaps that's why, I've been able to stay on this course, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. That's kind of all within the illusion. But so from the time that I first discovered that I could heal that hand to the time that I reached where I discovered that I actually had this gift, or that this gift was even a possibility, like a 10-year span went by. And I have come to decide that my ex-husband is a master teacher. He has really, 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 really put me through the ringer to force me to claim my power in ways that I never imagined I would have to. Not to say that he's, this gentle soul, because he's not in any way at all. So for those of you who are having challenging experiences with, ex-husbands or, people of the sort in your lives, just know that on a higher level, they're forcing you to claim your power. Now in retrospect, I can look at it and say that he was a master teacher. I would have, previously said that he was a master of something else. But, I can see now why I attracted that experience to myself, because I would never know how powerful I am. And honestly, obviously, this is not the zenith of my power. It's not the epitome of my power. I'm discovering it now, and then in 10 years, it'll be, even more. But so along the way, I went through multiple custody battles where he did everything that he could to not only extract my children from me, but financially crush me in any way possible. And I lost my home. I lost my kids for a little while. I lost everything. And it was so hard for me to get back on track. So I was experiencing a part in my life where I had him as when he was paying child support, and then I had a gentleman who I was doing web design work for, and the websites that I was designing, and I was trying to get my coaching off. The websites that I was designing were like these beautiful, elaborate $5,000 websites, and I was being paid $1,200 a month. And I said to him at one point, I said, listen, I need to either make less elaborate websites or you need to pay me more. And he said, well, I can, I'm doing you a favor. I can just, go to India and have somebody in India do these. And I was struggling with this for a long time. And Brenda knew me through this whole struggle. I decided to fire the client. Well, first what happened was I was sitting on my couch and I was like, okay, I realized that I had this controlling pattern with men and money in my life, and that was, the fear of not having money was really ruling my life. But there was like this mucky, controlling, money, men pattern. And I saw the pattern. I saw that it was from like childhood, and I wanted it gone. So I put in a prayer request to Silent Unity asking about that. And then I came across a woman's work who was very similar to what I'm doing now, only she basically would say that she was the only one with the gift. So anyway, I listened to her one of her prayers, and I felt infinite peace and patience. And at the same time, I fired the client. I wasn't having child support coming in anymore. And I sat on my couch for 2 weeks just asking myself, is there anything that I can do to bring in any financial abundance? And I kept getting, just wait. And so I'd wait 5 minutes and I'd be like, is there anything I can do now to bring in any financial abundance? And I was still in a place of peace and presence. And it's kind of like, I didn't want to miss out on an opportunity. I didn't want to have spirit tell me, okay, now you have to go to the gas station and buy yourself a lottery ticket or something like that. So I was asking, but I was literally sitting on my couch for 2.5 weeks, just waiting. And then, there was one other person that I was doing work with, and I was doing audio editing. And I had listened to one of the interviews that she had done because I had to edit that audio. And this person fascinated me, and I asked him to be on my World Awakened talk radio. And so he wanted to do a pre-interview. that was fine with me because I had nothing else going on. I was sitting around on my couch meditating all day. And so I did my pre-interview, and he asked me how many people I knew like that. And I said, like the person who I was doing the editing for, and I said, I don't know, hundreds, those are my people. And he said, if you could get me interviews with people like her, I'll pay you $500 a piece. And I was like, wow, how many do you want? And he said, as many as you can get. So I was able to get him about 10 a week. So, that was like, went from, when I was doing the audio editing, I was getting like $250 a month. So it went from that to like over 20 grand a month. So all from just sitting on my couch and meditating, being in that place of serenity. So the universe, while I was in that place of serenity, the universe in the background was orchestrating things for me because that person was the universe. All of my experience was also the greater part of me, which is the universe. So that place of peace and serenity that I brought us to previously is really, really important in that process, because then you totally get out of the way and it allows the greater part of you to just do it, to just line everything up for you and do it on your behalf.
It's just absolutely extraordinary because, yes, like you said, you and I were like right there.
Yep.
And I remember you sitting on the couch and just, doing your thing.
Yeah.
And how that transpired. It was just miraculous.
Yeah.
And to know that part of you as being very, very authentic and true, that when you're living on $250 a month, you can't pay your rent.
Right.
And your kids were yanked away from you.
Yeah.
In such a heartless sort of way.
Yeah.
And the thing is though, Kerri, we all have these challenges, like we think we get low, that we can't get any lower.
And then bam, here it comes.
Yeah, exactly. There's that law of duality at work, the universal laws are there. So it is a true testament to faith, first of all, and trust and honoring yourself and being true to yourself. I mean, these days, people would, like, if they got as low as you did, would take their life.
Yeah.
That's how serious it is.
Yeah.
And what a gift can do to change people's lives. So one of our viewers has said, Paulo, thank you so much, ladies. I've drifted away from my true path, but I could not ask the question. I didn't need to. Thank you with all my soul. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulo. Yeah. Is there anything that you would like? Maybe I can do a consciousness alignment for finding your true path.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. That would be beautiful. So, Paulo, hang on. Strap on your seatbelt. Okay.
All right. And this is for anyone who hears me, anyone who's listening, whether it's live or on the recording later on. It always works. So the power, like Brenda said in the beginning of this, it is embedded. So, as long as you can hear my voice, or I don't even know if you need to hear my voice, maybe if you read lips, whatever. But it always works. So, and I'm going to use Paulo's name in it as well. Thank you, divine consciousness that is in, through, and as me, and is the voice that speaks, is the ear that hears, is this very present moment of now. Thank you for Paulo asking the question and inspiring the thought and the idea of finding the true path, finding your true power, finding your life purpose now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. Thank you for releasing anything in the way of that, any thoughts that something has to be done, or any sense of doing or effort that is in the way of that, any sense of panic or need to control. Thank you for releasing that across all time, space, dimension, and reality now. Thank you, it is already done. Thank you, it is already done. And thank you for replacing that consciousness with a new consciousness of empowerment, of knowing who you are, knowing your life purpose, being guided on the path that is well lit, so that the person hearing my voice can know the right path that they need to take, the right course of action, so that it just lands in their lap, so that it's gentle, so with no particular effort on their part, it just happens in their life. And it allows them to see, to expand, to grow into their true nature, into their true path, into the work that brings them the most meaning. Thank you, it is already done. Thank you, it is already done now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality. Thank you, it is already done. And thank you for imprinting this person 1,000 times now with this knowing, with this certainty, with this trust in themselves, in their higher selves, in themselves at the core of their being. Thank you, it is already done. And thank you for releasing anything in the way across all time, space, dimension, and reality. Going back down the mother's side of the family and the father's side of the family, going back 10,000 generations. And thank you for creating a new inherited knowingness in this person so that they can trust themselves, be at peace with themselves, know that they are on the right path, and have that peace and serenity engulf them and surround them and cocoon them and protect them, and be that security and that serenity of knowing that they are on the right path. They are on the right path now and forevermore, now and forevermore. And thank you for imprinting them with this consciousness now. And thank you for allowing them to pass that on to future generations, this certainty and this knowingness of who they are and the path that they tread, and that the path that they tread is who they are, and that they are the way and the truth and the light. Thank you, it is already done. Thank you, it is already done now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for imprinting them with this new consciousness 1,000 times now and 1,000 times a day until it is complete. Thank you for allowing them to pass this on to future generations so that those future generations inherit 10,000 generations of this new consciousness or more, that or more, that or more. Thank you, it is already done. Thank you, it is already done now. And so it is. Okay, take a deep breath. And push it all out. And take another deep breath. And push it all out.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. What a gift. And Kerri, I can't ask for, the perfection of this tonight, and how it has touched my heart in such an amazing way. And, our viewers and listeners are just going to, I can't wait to see what comes out of it. I'm speechless. I'm gobsmacked.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Oh, gosh. So, Paula says, thank you. You're welcome, Paula. Yeah, exactly. Many blessings. And, and this is what it is life is not meant to be painful and constrictive and punitive. And, it's those limitations that are kind of put on us by society to limit us from living our fullest perspective and potential. And can you imagine if everyone did come from this perspective?
I know.
How much more magnificent life could be.
I know. Yeah. It would be amazing. I mean, for me, it is amazing because I get to see, I have a first row seat at seeing how this work just transforms lives. And then people come back and they're like, you know what? That thing that I wanted maybe hasn't quite manifested, but I'm in a state of peace and relaxation. And for me, that's where they want to be. So like if I do a consciousness alignment and 2 days later, they're like, well, my windfall hasn't shown up yet, but I'm at peace and I'm at ease. And I'm like, that's where you want to be. That's exactly where you want to be, because it happens. It happens. So.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing is so many people go to psychic mediums and they say, oh, where's my love of my life, and, this sort of thing. And they give them that. But the thing is, though, when you can come from a place of peace, because when people go to those people, they're not at peace. They're in dis-ease. Yeah, exactly. And they don't realize, they're giving their power to somebody else who has like this, funnel. And yet we're the channel, we're the funnel, and it's all right there. So, being at ease, being on the path, and knowing that the universe does have your back, and with these conscious alignments and learning how to do a conscious alignment, that's the next piece, right?
Yeah.
So it's one thing to experience it, but if in your purview you are looking for a way of creating a heightened communication, this is definitely a way to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd love for you to tell people about how they can learn from you, because you have graciously made it possible for people to actually not look at you like a guru, but to actually be coached by you to make differences in their life happen.
Yeah. And there are a couple different levels of, being able to learn this. One is that you can work with me, but I'll get to that in a minute. And another, which is really kind of exciting, I guess, is I have a 3-part video series. Each video is 15 minutes. And you can get to that by going to divinewithin.com/video series, or if you just go to divinewithin.com, if you can't remember the rest of it, you'll eventually be told, hey, we have a 3-part video series. But divinewithin.com/video series. And what that video series does is in the first video, it talks about the perspective, the perspective that you need to adopt, and the difference between a consciousness alignment and like law of attraction work. Because in law of attraction work, as long as you're trying to attract something, you're immediately automatically perceiving it as separate from yourself. So what this work does is it actually puts you in the, it tries to elevate you to the perspective of I am all of everything. And so that's what the first video is about. The second video talks about, it goes into the story that I told about our co-author, and a couple other different things. And then it does a consciousness alignment so that you can feel another one of those, experience another one of those. And then in the last one, I dive into the 5 keys to conscious creation process, which really chunks out what I do when I'm doing this work. So it like, puts it in like, here's the first piece, here's the second piece, here's the third piece. And now I just kind of do them all at the same time, because I'm practiced. And that 3-part video series really teaches you the full mechanics of what it is that I do. However, I can't teach you the perspective and bring you back to yourself and bring you back to yourself and bring you back to yourself in that that video series. So I also have a 12-week program that has exercises, and it teaches you with a group of people how to adopt and at least start adopting that perspective for yourself, so that you can align with that and you can see that this perspective is you, and you can start to own it and anchor it into your energy body, because it takes diligence and practice to anchor it. Most people can't all of a sudden say, okay, I am all of everything, and boom, here it is, and I'm working from this perspective. It's actually a perspective that you work from, but once you anchor that, then anything is possible.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, though, we go back to sometimes, and Paulo says this so nicely, he goes, sometimes the universe gives us what we need instead of what we think we need.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, is everything that has led us up to this point has been preparing us and honing us and, teaching us, like your ex was teaching you,
Right.
So it isn't prideful to now take the lessons. Once you've learned all the lessons, you've experienced the heartache and the pain and, the illness and whatever else, that it isn't that you aren't deserving of being able to take that and hone it into your own truth and make some things change that. And this is the thing, is the universe will give us this and something better, or something better. So it is not a prideful thing to do this.
Right. Absolutely. Sorry, excuse me. I'm feeling, from all that talking, I'm getting a little tickle. So, yeah, and that's something that when I first discovered this work, that kind of almost forced me to claim it, because I had been there before. I had been in the place where I healed the hand, so I knew that it was a possibility. But the person that showed me it was a possibility was telling everybody that she was the only one with the gift. And from my experience, I knew that that was not true. So I decided to claim it and then teach it, because I had the blessed understanding, or the blessed experience of working with a spiritual teacher for many years, who kept bringing me back to myself, and also working with a non-duality group that also kept bringing me back to myself. So I had practiced, I had groups that allowed me to bring me back to myself. But then looking at it, though, it doesn't have to take that long, because again, I'm a better communicator than my spiritual teacher. He's kind of this very, very, very quiet guy who was kind of, when I met him, antisocial, sort of a monk-like character, and not necessarily the best communicator, but I can phrase things in a way that people understand, and it's easy to understand. It doesn't have to be this big, complicated thing. And also, like with my non-duality group, it's like a lot of metaphors and things like that. And it doesn't have to be cloaked in metaphors. It can just be, this is what it is. Just experience, if you can experience yourself from this different perspective, and then there are exercises that you can do. And, there's people like me that you can work with to bring you back to yourself, so that the students who have worked with me have said that in a really short period of time, like, within 6 weeks, they are able to do this and experience themselves from that different perspective. So it doesn't have to take whatever, 15 years like it did for me, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So,
well, changes, like the evolution of change is quickening every time. So, as it took you that long, and now it's just this matter of, putting it into action. And
right.
And the thing is, the more people that are doing it, it speeds up the whole process of transition as well. Right?
Exactly. And the more people who are introduced to it. So if you're watching this and you gain something from it, share it with your friends, because it'll help everyone. It'll help, we're here on this planet to go through these struggles, and the struggles are there to teach you who you are. So, if you see this and it is bringing you something positive, share it with your friends. Tell them, hey, I watched this. I highly recommend you watch it, because it'll help you feel better. It's not just an interview, it's an experience. So, because the more people that become introduced to it, the more people will get it, and the more people will be able to use it, and then the more people will empower their lives, which then empowers the community, which then empowers the world.
Yeah, just the shift is happening.
Right.
It really is. Yeah. Perfect. So, Kerri, our hour is drawing to an end. And again, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you through your website and all that good stuff.
Okay. So, if you want to, we send out emails all the time about, different interviews and, programs that we're doing, or opportunities to work with me, or, whatever that is, through our main newsletter. And you can go to divinewithin.com, or you can go to divinewithin.com/video series to take part in that video series. And really, the video series is great. And then if you wanted to actually learn how to do this work, there is a masterclass sort of attached to that, and details on that. But really, if you just went to the main website, divinewithin.com, if that's easier for you to remember, go ahead and sign up there. Put your little name in the box, and you'll receive information about all different ways that you can work with me, about projects that I'm doing, about, a whole bunch of different things, because I've got, I have the Awakened Life Expo that I'm going to be doing again, and all of these people who I'm going to be interviewing for that, and then I have the work, and a whole bunch of things are coming up. And we're really also hoping to do some live speaking events, like live. And when that happens, when I've done speaking events, it's amazing, because the entire room shifts all at once, and it's just like, I love that. It's just like the whole room. And that's where I first heard that it's, like something on steroids, because this guy was in a room that was like a room full of people, and this guy was like, okay, can you do a grounding, please? Because I can't get up and walk to my car. So, it's great when the whole room is shifting at once.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So to me, this is exciting, because this is true medicine. Like this is truly it. Like as a healthcare professional, it isn't about pills and prescriptions. It's empowerment, and that's the best medicine of all. So, Kerri, I want to thank you so much for making this time available with us tonight on Ageless Blissings Live. You are so welcome. and for all of you that are watching, whether it be now or in the future, or, wherever it is, please drop a line. Let us know how you are doing and what you got out of this, because the gifts are there. The gifts are there for you. And, and that's truly what this is all about for me. It's about giving you bliss. You deserve it. We all deserve it. And together we can make change happen. So thank you. And until next time, peace be with you. Bye-bye.